We up? Alright, we good. Alright, Shalom. This is the I.S.U.P.K under commanding General YAHANNA. And as you know, in the UK, we teach classes 3 times a week. So in the UK, the address is 394 Lodge Road, postcode B18 5PW. And you know, over here in the UK, we do classes 3 times a week. So you have the Monday class, which is a history class. Then you got the Wednesday class, which is the law class. Then you got the Thursday class, which is a scripture breakdown class. Every class at the same time, 11 o'clock till 9 o'clock, 7 o'clock in the afternoon till 9. So, you know, if you're in the UK, it behooves you to come through these doors, man. You're going to learn who you truly are. You're going to learn that you're not African, which we're going to get into today in the history class. You're going to learn that all religion is a lie. All religion is not the answer for black people. All religion hasn't got the answers for black people. All religions can't help us, man. And you're only going to learn it here. You can't ask your pastor anything regarding black people. He don't have the answer. You can't ask your imam, your sheikh, anything regarding the problems of black people. He won't have the answer. The only one place you're going to learn it, and that's the I.S.U.P.K in the Midlands, Birmingham. Again, postcode B18 5PW, address 394 Lodge Road. Then with that being said, you know what I mean? Also, do remember to pay your tithes. Your tithes are a commandment. It's a must. It's not what you feel like you should do. You don't pay just when you want to pay. It's mandatory. Just like how you don't eat pork. You wouldn't sleep with another man's wife, but you got to pay tithes. That's mandatory. So with that being said, we're going to get into the class about the real Jews always being black men, and that we are those real Jews. Reason being is many people, they'll say to you, you know, the Jews ain't black. The Jews were Shemitic, and that doesn't make no sense. But then also there's another issue. Everyone's comfortable with anyone else being the lost Israelites. Everyone's fine with that. But why is it when you say you are, there's a problem? Well, God loves everyone. Why does it matter? When all over the world, there's many people that aren't Israelites and they claim to be, and no one has a issue with them. You got, you know, the Afghanistans, you got certain segments of them. They claim to be the lost tribes of Israel. No one questions them. No one has a problem with them. Then you got the Romanians, you got the Romanian gypsies. They claim to be the lost tribes of Israel. No one questions them. Everyone's comfortable and content with them being Israelites. But then when you say you're an Israelite, well, why does it matter? You know, the Jews, they were Shemitic, they weren't black, and you get all of this kickback. Meanwhile, there's many people out there, they claim to be Israelites with no proof, with no evidence, and everyone's fine with it. Nobody questions it. No one goes, well, hang on, where's the proof? Where's the evidence? Everyone just accepts it on face value, man. And that's the problem. Everyone has a problem with you being the Israelites. Everyone can't accept that the chosen people of God are black, man. The chosen people of God live in the ghettos. The chosen people of God are the ones that, you know, play their music loud in the car. And that's really what it all comes down to. No one wants to hear the facts. No one wants the proof. No one wants the evidence. And that's all what it is. Everyone's got a problem when you are the people of God. Everyone's got an issue when they read the Bible and go, you're them people. You're them great people that God loves. You're them great people that God parted the Red Sea for. And that's really what it all boils down to. No one likes you, man. So today, we're going to go into history because it's a history class, that we are the real Jews, and that even many historians that have done research into West Africa, they're going to confirm it too. That the people that were enslaved, they were Israelites. They weren't Africans. Africans did not sell their own race of people. That is a lie. You won't find it nowhere. You know what I mean? But you're gonna find out that Africans sold the children of Israel into Jamaica, into Grenada, into Montserrat, into America, and you know what I mean? We're scattered also all throughout the four corners of the earth. So with that, I'm gonna first read in Job 32 and 8. Job 32 and 8. But there is a spirit in man, and the inspiration of the Almighty giveth them understanding. So, what does this verse mean? There's a spirit in man, and the inspiration of the Almighty giveth them understanding. Meaning, inside of a man, he's inspired, meaning he's read the Bible, he's read Deuteronomy 28:68. He knows that well, we're the people that fit the prophecies in the Bible. But then it goes, the Almighty giveth them the understanding, meaning even through history. So, first in the Bible, you get the understanding, and then the Spirit of the Most High, He makes you read history, He makes you find it in archaeology, He makes you find it in records, and that's what happened at the I.S.U.P.K. Those heads of the I.S.U.P.K, the Most High, He gave them the spirit of understanding to find this in history. Yeah, the Spirit showed them in the Bible, but then the Spirit showed them in history, man. You know, imagine this. You know, we have the history books now, but imagine this. You read the Bible and the Bible saying it, but you have no history books to confirm what you're saying. But yet, because it's in the Bible alone, you believe it, man. Right. You preach it on the streets like this, and we are the Israelites. We do try to be 20 and 68, and you got no history to even confirm it, and you believe it wholeheartedly. That's because you got the spirit of the Most High and the Almighty. He gave them the understanding. He showed them Babylon to Timbuktu, and he showed them Hebrewisms of West Africa and many other books to also make the point that we are the Israelites, and slavery that was prophesied in the Bible only happened to the children of Israel. Job 32 and 8.
Job 32 and 8. I will instruct thee and teach thee in the way which thou shalt go.
Job 32 and 8. And as I said before, everyone's happy with every other one being a Israelite. The Romanian gypsies, certain Afghanistan tribes, and no one questions them. But when it's you, you gotta have proof. When it's you, well, what happened through history? I need a timeline. And Romanians, Israelites, and they say, and no one argues, well, there could be, like Jews are scattered all over the earth. So if Jews are scattered all over the earth, then what's the problem with me being an Israelite? What's the problem with me being the people found in the Bible? And that's the problem. You hate it because I'm black, man. That's what it is. Romanians look damn near whitish. Afghanistan's are Arab looking, but when they're black, when they look like me, well, I need some history with that. I need some records and some history to go along with what you're saying. And Afghanistan's, they got no history. Romanian gypsies, they got no history. They just say it. We believe we descend from one of the Israelite tribes, and people believe it. But read it for me. Yeah, Job 32 and 8.
But there is a spirit in man, and the inspiration of the Almighty giveth them understanding.
And the heads at the I.S.U.P.K, they were inspired by the Lord, man. They read it in the Bible, and they was inspired to find it in history. And you want to know something? It is in history. It's not something that they were inspired to find and it never existed. It's in history that Jews were in West Africa. Jews were sold by Africans, and we're gonna get to it. Read the next verse.
Great men are not always wise.
What did the Bible say?
Great men are not always wise.
And why does the Bible say that? Because great men are not always wise. Many people, you think Africans sold Africans. Why? Because you follow Dr. Ben, Aswan, Kwesi, Malachi Zior. And in this world, these are great men. And the Bible says great men are not always wise, man. Just because they told you you're African doesn't mean they're right. Just because they went to university and done what they call it African education, it doesn't mean they're wise, man. And the Bible saying great men are not always wise. Just because they're great in this world, it doesn't always mean they're wise. It doesn't always mean they have the truth. It doesn't always mean they have the answers. Read on.
Neither do the aged understand judgment.
And the age don't understand judgment either. Now, if you look at Aswan Kwesi, he's got a hair that his hair is fully grey, and people just by that alone think he's a knowledgeable man. He's been doing his African oddies for over 50 years, and he doesn't understand judgment. He doesn't understand that our slavery was a judgment from the Most High, man.
Right.
He doesn't understand that we are not African. But from there, give me Proverbs 15 and 28. Also,
Proverbs 15:28. The heart of the righteous studieth to answer.
and that's something that everyone in the UPK, every officer, every captain, general, you know what I mean? We all apply this. The righteous, the audience to answer, meaning when you answer someone, you research it, man. You don't philosophize. You don't make it up as you go along. You study to give the answer. And at the UPK, that's why we do classes in the UK 3 times a week. In America, down there, a class every day. Why? Because we study to give you an answer. We have the answers. Meanwhile, while you're too busy asking us things, you might want to ask your pastor something, man.
Right.
You might want to ask your imam something. You might want to ask your African spiritualities high priest teacher something, man. From there, give me Second Timothy 2 and 15. Then, without further ado, we're gonna get into some of this history. We're gonna get into this, and believe me, there's many more. Just that I don't want to make it long-winded. I don't want to, get this book here, that book there. But believe me, what is taught in the UPK, it's in the Bible and it's in history and it's in credible history too. Read that for me.
2 Timothy 2 and 15. Study to show thyself approved.
And what does it mean? You got to study to show yourself approved. What does the word approved even mean? Let's see if anyone online has the answer. What is the definition of the word approved? I'll give you a minute, then we'll answer it, of course.
So it's a truth.
Nah, that's not the definition of it. All right, for time, approved means certified. So if you're approved, meaning yes, you are that you have the ability to do something. Like when a car, when it gets approved, it gets a stamp on it, or like or it is earth titles in this car is safe to be on the road. And likewise with being a man of God, man, you gotta get some exams up in the UPK. You gotta be approved. You can't just go out there and teach and you don't know nothing. In the UPK, you get approved also, man. And likewise, in here, if you're gonna say that we are not African, you gotta be approved to say that we are not African, man.
Right.
You got to know what you're talking about. You got to know history, but of course, first and foremost, know the Bible. And you know what I mean? And likewise, this is why it's in the Bible. For you to be in here doing the will of the Lord, doing the work, you gotta be approved. You gotta be certified that you can do this job. Read on.
God, show thyself approved. So like unto the Most High.
Unto the Most High, meaning the Most High, He's going to approve you. He's gonna go, you know what? Yeah, you're ready to be a part of the camp. You're ready to get on that microphone. So you're not approved unto us. Yes, we carnally say, you know, you're now an officer, but the Lord, you are showing yourself approved unto Him, man. It's the Lord that looks down on you and goes, you know what? Yeah, you're ready to get on that mic. You're ready to have a debate. You're ready to hold a lecture. Read on.
A workman that needed not to be ashamed.
And there, man, once you have the truth, you can't be ashamed. You can't be at camp saying, you know, everyone's gonna laugh at me if I say we're not African. Saying you're a workman of the Lord, you can't be ashamed. At the UPK, we say it straight, we are not African, man.
Right.
We ain't Ghanaians, we ain't Nigerians, we ain't the Ashantis, we ain't the Igbo tribe. You know what I mean? We are not none of them, man. We are Hebrew Israelites. We are the children of Israel, man. And you can't be ashamed. Why? Because you are approved. If you have the truth, then what have you got to be ashamed of? Read on.
Rightly dividing the word of truth.
And then you rightly divide the word, you show them in the Bible and you show them in history, man. You can divide this word and show them. So without further ado, let's get the first book out, man. Let's get I got it here. Now just show you my line. You know what I mean? For those of you that have been watching the UPK for a while, you know, you see us pick up this book quite a bit, man. It's called Babylon to Timbuktu, and the author is Rudolph R. Windsor. And with this guy, he's a scholar. He's been in the white man's universities and all that. And you know, one thing I always like to do with every book, you know, you always want to look for this because many people that try to debate us and say that we are not African, they pick up books and it has none of this. Watch this. It's called an epilogue or a appendix, meaning every piece of information he can show you where he found it from. So if you think he's lying, you can find it yourself. I don't know if you can see it here, probably the camera and the light. But you know, if you think he's lying or that's a lie in history, you can see. So for for argument's sake, you know, here it's got, you know, the works of Flavius Josephus, another author, John C. Winston, Philadelphia, page 39, meaning everything he got, it can be referenced back to something. So it's not just him, you know what I mean, using his imagination. It's not him philosophizing. Even over here, it's got many more. So many things where you can trace his information back to. And now, if you get a book and it hasn't got this, then you're wasting your time. If you get a book and there's no appendix, there's no notes, then there's no point reading it because there's no evidence for you to trace it back to. So you know, now it's funny while people say we need proof. You want to know a fact? If you read books written by Dr. Malachi Z. York, in his books, this don't exist. There ain't no epilogue. There ain't no appendix. It don't exist. Meaning you're meant to read his books and take his information on face value. There's no appendix in no Dr. Malachi Z. York books. It's the end and that's it, man. The book closed. But in this book, we're gonna start at page 84. As I said, if you don't believe us, then you can, you know, get it for yourself. Let's get that. So page 84. Yeah, that's all.
Page 84 from Babylon to Timbuktu.
Yes, just on the highlighted parts.
Because of this religious perspective, the legitimate high priest Owens III and many other Jews fled into African countries.
So now, even before Jerusalem got destroyed by the Roman Empire, there was Jews living in Africa already. Ananias, for those of you that don't know, when the Romans first conquered Jerusalem, this was in 65 BC. You know what I mean? With this high priest Ananias, he was in a debate with another high priest, and you know what I mean? Because we was divided even back then, it was easy for Rome to conquer us, and then the land of Israel became a Roman occupation. And you know what I mean? So from then, even then, Jews lived in Africa. You know what I mean you had encampments of Jews in Africa. I'll give you an example. Many Egyptologists like to use Matthew or Luke where it goes, out of it, Egypt I called my son. And what did they like to say? Well, what was Christ doing in Egypt? Why did he have to go back to Africa? Reason being is there was Jew there was Jew encampments in Egypt. So hang on, do you think Christ just went randomly there just to be around Africans? There was Israelites living in Egypt, and with Christ and his father and his mother, they went to one of those Jew communities in Egypt. You know what I mean? They're like, with Christ, he ran from Herod and just went to Egypt. Just lived amongst people he didn't know. No, there was Jews living in Egypt, and Christ's father and his mother, with Christ, went to one of the Jew settlements in Egypt. How do you know this? If you read Second Maccabees 1:1, what does it say? To all of the brethren that be in Egypt, meaning there was Jews that lived in Egypt already. So the point is making is even before Jerusalem got destroyed, there was already Jews living in Africa. Read on.
God, such as Egypt, Ethiopia, Libya. Throughout the last 2,500 years, the main factors that have contributed to the social migration of the Jews were wars, religious persecution, and commerce.
There, so now it's even saying the reason why they were dispersed throughout Africa so much was because of wars, religious persecution, and also like they used to like sell things. So that's why you always had encampments of Israelites living all throughout Africa. Read on.
In the year 65 BC, the Roman armies under General Pompey captured Jerusalem. In 70 AD, General Vespasian and his son Titus put an end to the Jewish state.
So now that's giving you an 100-year timeline right there. 65 BC, the Romans captured our homeland, and in 70 AD, they put an end to it. And you can read about that in the Josephus, where they encamped around us. No one couldn't eat no food. No one couldn't, you know what I mean, eat. There was no resources we could get from outside. And they put an end to the Jew states. Um, Read on.
God, with great slaughter, during the period of the military governors of Palestine, many outrages and atrocities were committed against the residue of the people.
So it's saying even while we was there, many outrages, and it's not in the Bible, but it's in history. That you know what I mean? Even after Christ and before Christ, we got slaughtered by the Romans many times. Many times we would rebel, not pay tax, or not do as the Romans say. And it's written in history. They will go throughout the streets that we had and just kill women, men, kids, and they've done it to us numerous times. Many outrages and atrocities were committed against us. Read on.
God, during the period from Pompey to Julius, it is estimated that over 1 million Jews fled into Africa.
And that's history. 1 million Jews fled into Africa, man. That's a large number. 1 million Jews fleeing into Africa. Read on.
Fleeing from Roman persecution.
And that's why they fled, because the Romans were after them. Of course, he had some before the Roman Empire that was there from wars and many other things that happened. But the majority, they flew into West Africa because of the Roman Empire. The Romans wanted them enslaved. The Romans wanted them dead. Read on.
The markets are full of black Jewish slaves.
And the markets mean the slave markets. So the slave markets that the Europeans had us on, and even back then, the slave markets, because why? Many of us, the surrounding empires hated us, and they would enslave us also as well. Read on.
And the Lord shall scatter thee among all people, from the one end of the earth even to the other.
And you see it there. And this scholar, Rudolph R. Windsor, he even put that Bible verse next to it. So even he knew that, you mean that is one of the fulfillments of the prophecies in the Bible, man. So even he knew it. Now, him being a historian and reading the Bible, going, well, this clearly happened, man. So is us being the Jews in history? Yes, it is, man. And it's got credible information. You know what I mean? This guy is a scholar with an appendix in the back of the book, meaning if you don't believe, you can read it yourself. Go to his resources, go to what information he found, and if he's lying, then you can debunk him. You can go to that information, which meaning he has the truth. Why? Because he wouldn't take it to something that's a lie. He wouldn't have it in the back of his book and it's a lie. Any more on that? Hmm? All right, yeah, no sweat. Give me Matthew 24:1, because this was in the Bible. Our King Yahushua, the King of the Jews, he spoke about that day, about the Romans, and you know what I mean. Like in the Bible, anything that is in there does come to pass.
Matthew 24:1. And Yahushua went out and departed from the temple, and his disciples came to him for to show him the buildings of the temple.
There's now with Christ, he was with his disciples, and they were trying to show him how nice it was, how glorious the temple was. But he's gonna let them know something. Read on.
Verse 2. And Yahushua said unto them, see ye not all these things? Verily I say unto you, there shall be not left one here, one stone upon another.
So he said to them, you know what I mean? You see all this here? There's not going to be one stone standing on one another. So he's telling them, yes, it looks nice. It looks glorious. But all of this right here is going to be destroyed, man. And you know what I mean? His disciples, they were perplexed, like, what? Like when? Skip to verse 15.
Verse 15. When ye therefore shall see the abomination of desolation, spoken in Daniel the prophet, stand in the holy place.
So now he's saying, when you see the white man, here's the abomination of desolation, meaning with his abominations, he makes the place empty, desolate. And he done it in the time of Maccabees, and he was going to do it again. So he's saying, listen, man, when you see the white man, aka the Romans, heavily occupying this land, know that this place is going to be desolate, man. Know that some atrocities are going to be done here. Read on.
Whosoever readeth, let him understand.
So it's saying, whoso readeth, let him understand. Meaning, of course, in the time of Christ, with the scribes, the Pharisees, they had the Bible, but they didn't understand. But the people that follow Christ, he's saying, if you read, you're going to understand what I'm talking about. Read on.
Let them which be in Judea flee to the mountains.
And what did he say?
Let them that be in Judea flee into the mountains.
So for those that understand, when you're in Judea, flee to the mountains, meaning run away. And in history, you know what I mean? I got the book on me. I got it home, which I should have brought it. Even in history, when many Christians, that's what they're called, saw heavily the occupation of the Roman Empire, they fled. That is documented in history, and they read it and they understood. Read on.
Let him which is on the housetop not come down
Uh-huh.
to take anything out of his house.
Yeah, read on.
Neither let him which is in the field return back to take his fields.
Meaning, don't return. Once you see the abomination of desolation, aka Rome, aka Esau, aka the white man, just go. Don't leave nothing behind. You know what I mean? No, don't run to get nothing. When, when you notice it, just leave. That's what he told them. Read on.
God. And woe unto them that give suck in those days.
Uh-huh.
But pray ye that the flight be not in the winter, neither on the Sabbath day.
So he's saying, you know what I mean? You pray that your flight ain't in the winter. Why? Because to travel in the winter is cold. You know what I mean? And you can die. You get lost and you don't know where you're going. That's death, man. So saying that you pray that you don't see this happening and you leave in the winter. And why did it say on the Sabbath day? Because on the Sabbath is common for what? Them to close the gates. You want to leave on the Sabbath day. What's going to happen? You can't leave, man. You know what I mean? In many verses in the Bible, many men on the Shabbat day, they will lock the gates. So no one comes in, no one comes out, so that you don't do no work, aka your job. So you want to leave on the Sabbath day, you can't, man. And there's Romans heavily occupying, and you see to saying that please pray that this don't happen to you on these days. Read on.
God. For then shall there be great tribulation.
There shall be what?
Great tribulation.
Meaning great pain, man, great hard times. He's saying that those times is going to be great tribulation. Read on.
Such as was not since the beginning of the world.
Such that was not since the beginning of the world. And what happened to us? Yes, you know, the Babylonians had us, the Persians and the Medes had us. But what Rome done to us never happened to us like any other time, man. Any more than that pretty much it.
God, nor shall ever be.
Nor shall ever be. And Christ was warning his disciples, and of course, his disciples told the disciples after them that what's gonna happen, you know what I mean? You ain't ever seen this before, and we never seen that before, man. The Babylonians, they had us, the Persians and the Medes had us, but what Rome did to us, we did not see that before, man. Where literally none of us was in the land, all of us had to leave, and that's what Christ is letting us know. And they give me Matthew 11 and 23. So just another verse about Christ talking about the destruction of Jerusalem.
Matthew 11 and 23. And thou, Capernaum, which art exalted unto heaven, shall be brought down to hell.
And why did it saying that? If you do research, Capernaum was a very rich place. It was a rich city in the land of Israel. And it's saying, although that be exalted to heaven, meaning although you're rich, you got all the wealth, you're going to be brought down to hell. So when was this place brought down to hell? When the Romans damn near destroyed us? No sweat. If you got questions online, do bring them in as well. No sweat. So that's when Capernaum was brought down to hell. When? Through the Roman Empire. So with Christ, he prophesied about them as well. And when did it happen? When Rome, under General Vespasian and his son Titus. So you know he was even prophesying back then. So with that, we're gonna get back into the history, man. The question like no sweat. All right. Sister Shira Renat, we got your question. We're gonna answer that in a moment. All right. In Babylon's Timbuktu, page 86. Let me have a quick look. All right. Yeah, page 86 to the top of 87, just the top bit in there. good to go.
Babylon Timbuktu, page 86. The pagans and the Romans attacked the Jews.
What did it say?
The pagans and the Romans attacked the Jews.
There's with Christ. He spoke about this day. Now we're gonna find out why the Israelites went to West Africa. Because some people go, well, you know, what about South Africa, East, the Congos? But again, we're gonna explain why West Africa was the place where majority of the Israelites went. And it says the pagans and the Romans attacked the Jews. So the pagans meaning, you know, the heathens, the Arabians, the Egyptians, the Sudanese, and the Romans, they both attacked the Jews. So while we're in Africa, they're both attacking us, man. Read on.
God attacked the Jews indiscriminately.
Indiscriminately meaning they didn't care if it was a man, a woman, a child. Indiscriminately, from as long as you was a Jew, they attacked us. Once our homeland of Jerusalem was destroyed,
both Jewish soldiers and the uninvolved peaceful population without mercy.
And imagine that. So even the Jews that, you know, was like men of war and just an average Jew, just imagine you're not a warrior, you're just like a farmer. From you was a Jew, you was open game. You was to be put to death simply because you was a Jew and the Romans ordered it. Read on.
God, without mercy, as a result of this merciless attack, many Jews fled to those parts of Northwest Africa.
So first, many Jews, because of what was happening to them, that they was being attacked, you know what I mean, wherever there was, even if there was a warrior or just a Jew that just had a little encampment somewhere, they would attack you indiscriminately. So first, many Jews went to Northwest Africa. Read on.
Known as Tunisia, Algeria, Morocco, and Mauritania.
So that's Northwest Africa, Mauritania, Morocco, them parts. So first, many of them went there. Read on.
Many other Jews fled to the areas where Rome did not have jurisdiction.
And that's key. And if you think I'm lying, look in a Roman map, meaning all the places that Rome ruled. Northwest Africa isn't there. Morocco, Mauritania, it's not there. They had Spain, France, Egypt, but them parts of Northwest Africa, Rome did not rule over. So that's why many Jews went there, because Rome did not dominate there. Read on.
This was to the region of the south, the Sahara Desert and the Sudan. Grazer says, such is the explanation of how the Sahara Desert first acquired Jewish tribes.
There, so now this guy, he's a historian. His name is Grazer, and he's saying that's why in the Sahara there was so many Jews. Why? From what happened to the homeland Jerusalem, and what happened through wars, and them having to keep on migrating, and that's why at one point in time the Sahara Desert, meaning Northwest Africa, and even some parts of North Africa, had so many Jews. Read on.
Toughened by fighting, tradition, and possessed of the physical characteristics, blacks, which it is said still make them approximate very closely to the original Jewish population of Palestine. The Jews are an omnipotent. They seem to exist everywhere. At the beginning of the 6th century, they are found in Spain.
All right, so now we migrated to Northwest Africa. Then now historians going, these Jews are everywhere. So when they went all throughout Northwest Africa, they're everywhere, and we was in Spain as well. Read that.
Before the Mohammedan conquest, Spain is known to the Jews as a classical land of Crypto-Judaism, because they find Christianity and practice Jewish ritual in secret. As early as Roman period, the Jews of Spain had been large in number and influential.
And there's so now in that hemisphere, Northwest Africa, and with Spain, that it don't connect to West Africa, but that is literally adjacent. to West Africa. And many historians go, listen, in the 600 ADs, Jews were everywhere, man, throughout Northwest Africa, Spain, Tunisia, wherever Rome did not rule. You know what I mean? That's where we was. Read on.
Many of them claim to be descendants of the noble Jews in Jerusalem.
They did what?
Claim to be descendants of the noble Jews in Jerusalem.
So that's key. So many Jews that lived in West Africa, Northwest Africa, and in Spain claimed descendant of noble Jews. Read on.
Noble Jews, Slakia, who had been carried into exile by General Titus.
So now hang on. They're not just saying, we always lived there. They are admitting that from what happened with the war with the Roman Empire, they were exiled, meaning they was carried away. They had to leave. So it's one thing to say Jews were in West Africa, but these Jews knew where they originated from and why they were there. They knew while they was in that hemisphere of the world from what happened to their homeland. Read on.
After this, I.S.U.P.K, a Germanic tribe, invasion, the situation ameliorated for the Jews because of the I.S.U.P.K adopted the Aryan and Christianity and favored the Jews. However, when the Neophytes, King Ricard ascended the throne in 589, this was the beginning of harsh religious enactments against the Jews.
Okay, so now, I would recommend that you get the book, but for time's sake, when this Spanish king came up, he exiled many Jews and they went back into Africa. He's like, listen, I don't want no Judaism, or that's what they call it anymore. That
Okay. The Jews were threatened with a penalty of slavery if they were found practicing Judaism. This cruel policy caused many Jews to flee to the Mediterranean and western coast of Africa.
And where?
Western coast of Africa.
There, so those same Jews that came from Jerusalem settled in Northwest Africa and in Spain. Because he wouldn't let them practice Judaism, they settled back into West Africa. They went there, man. So when we say, we are the Israelites, that, the people that were sold in West Africa, they were Jews, is it far-fetched? Are we lying? Hmm? Well, historians don't think so, and historians have the proof. Or what Pan-African people have his opinions, man. I got a question line. Let's quickly.
Baba Bashar to have scriptures on how to defend yourself. On defending yourself.
Okay, I'll give you Psalms 133 and 1. Hmm? No. Oh, no. It's one about blessed be the Lord, taught my fingers to fight, hands to make war. And there's many more. And defending yourself is key. Like defending yourself is as relevant as you learning how to drive, you learning how to read, how to count. It's relevant, and defend yourself is just as relevant. In the UPK, especially the officers and everyone, we learn to defend ourselves. We don't believe God's gonna magically just defend you out of the blue. You're here on the earth, and there's things you have to learn, and the Bible talks about it too, man. And about learn them more. I'll find that one, and you get the other one.
Psalm 18:34. He teacheth my hands to war.
So now this is King David right here, and King David said, "The Lord taught my hands to war." Now take Christianity out of your mind. Like what they think is the Lord taught his hands to war, meaning the Lord just possessed his hands. Is that what King David's saying? So what is King David really saying? The Lord inspired him to learn to defend himself. The Lord, he inspired him to learn martial arts, or what we call it today, to learn him how to defend himself. And he said that came from the Lord, man. To defend yourself, It's a must. The same way, people learn to count, people learn to read, people learn to, drive a car, and you think it means something to you. Defending yourself or learning self-defense is as relevant, man. You know what I mean? Nowadays, people care about drinking and dancing more than how to defend themselves, and it's relevant. Don't live in a fairy tale where no one ain't going to mess with you, no one ain't going to try and rob you. It's very relevant, and you better know something to defend yourself. Read that again.
He teacheth my hands how to war.
And he teaches his hands how to war. What is war, man? Fighting. The Lord made sure that King David knew how to fight, man, and he didn't just magically get in his hands. You know what I mean? He inspired him to learn how to defend himself. And there's another one about, it's in the book of Judges, in the book of Judges. I'll find it. Children of Israel. That's a good one as well.
2 Samuel 1:18. Also, he bade them teach the children of Judah to use the use of the bow.
And imagine that. So he taught them how to use the bow. Why? For warfare, to defend himself. He didn't say, God's going to take care of it. You know what I mean? He knew, to defend ourselves, you need to learn them how to use the bow. What bow? The bow and arrow, man.
Right.
You know what I mean? To defend yourself all throughout the Bible. And it's normal. It's common sense. It's sad that, because of Christianity, you have to learn someone well, to defend yourself or to learn it is relevant. They believe God just handles everything. And it's common sense. If someone's going to mess with you, it's only right that you learn something that, you know what I mean, you know how to handle yourself. It's normal. And read that one more time.
Bade them teach the children of Judah the use of the bow.
Yes, it taught them the use of the bow. Get me Judges 3 and 2. And then Songs of Solomon 3 as well.
Judges 3 and 2. Only that the generation of the children of Israel might know, to teach them war.
To do what?
To teach them war.
There, so if you never read this book before, this is after Joshua died. And we got complacent, we got laid back, and we wasn't learning self-defense. And this judge that rose up in this time is like, nah, with the Israelites, they need to learn war, man. They need to learn how to defend themselves. We got laid back and we were sinning, learning from the Canaanites, learning from the Hittites. And this man said, nah, with the Israelites, you better teach them war, man. You better teach them how to defend themselves. I believe it's Songs of Solomon 3 and 6. About the men that used to protect him. The Songs of Solomon 3 and 7.
Songs of Solomon 3 and 7. Behold his bed, which is Solomon's. 80 valiant men are about it.
Okay, so now this scripture here, there's nothing homosexual about it. Meaning King Solomon had 60 men around his bed. Who are these men? Is bodyguards, man. And it says, what it say? Valiant men. Valiant means courageous, meaning these are warriors, man. 60 courageous warriors by his bed to protect him. You know what I mean? Ain't no orgies or no swingers going on by his bed. He's a king and he needs men to protect him. So with these bodyguards, what do you think they do? Or what do you think they've learned? They've learned self-defense. If you're protecting him, you've learned something that you are capable of protecting this king. So these men, these 60 valiant men by King Solomon's bed, they knew self-defense. They knew how to use arrows. the sword, a shield, a buckler. These men were skilled to be capable to defend King Solomon. Read on.
The valiant of Israel.
And these men were the best of Israel, meaning these 60 men that were King Solomon's bodyguards, they were the best that Israel had to offer, man. These were the best, like the best that Israel had. They were by King Solomon. They were protecting King Solomon, and they knew how to defend King Solomon. Read on.
They all hold swords
Uh-huh.
and are expert in war.
And they are what?
Expert in war.
And these 60 men, they were experts in war. They knew how to defend themselves and King Solomon. Read on.
Every man having sword upon his thigh.
Every man having a sword upon his thigh, meaning they knew how to use that sword, man, and they knew how to defend King Solomon. So that's some scriptures. I believe, of course, there's many more, but that's a few to back up that learning self-defense is mandatory and it's a must. And many great men in the Bible knew how to defend themselves. So if that answers it for you, give me a con, give me a one. You know what I mean? All right, no sweat. So let's get Revelations 1 and 3.
Revelation 1 and 3. Blessed be he that readeth.
And that's key, man. The Bible says, blessed is he that readeth, man. And that's something that a lot of us don't do, man. You know what I mean? Of course, the Bible first and almost. And then there's history too, man. There's history that proves the Bible. If someone don't believe in the Bible, but that's on them because history ain't going to give you salvation, first and foremost. But there's history that goes along with the Bible. When we say only Israelites were enslaved in the transatlantic slave trade, that's in the Bible. And then there's history. And the Bible says, blessed is he that readeth. From there, give me Psalms 85 and 11.
Psalms 85 and 11. Truth shall spring out of the earth.
And that's key, man. With the truth, it shall spring forth out of the earth. What's the Bible talking about? Archaeology, man. History, records, archives. Out of the earth, it proves that we are the Israelites. It proves that the people that were sold in West Africa, they were Israelites, man. The truth shall spring forth out of the earth. So don't listen to no sarnetters and polites talking about black DNA with West Africa. You know what I mean? Them things are hoaxes, man. Meanwhile, history proves we are the children of Israel. History proves we are the real Jews, man. And from there in Babylon to Timbuktu, skip to page 88.
Page 88. When North and Eastern Africa had amassed over 1 million Jews, the Jews began a continuous migration to
So now it's letting you know, many of us was in West Africa and we continued to migrate into West Africa. So it didn't just stop with the ones that left just from Rome. Even ones that were, living in Africa, doing whatever they did, belong to West Africa too. Read on.
the Jews began a continuous migration to the region of the Niger River, according to the researches of Nahum Slouch.
So now, make no mistake, Nahum Slouch, he's a white man, and he's just a historian. He don't even believe in the Bible. You can research him. You know what I mean? We got Wikipedia. Research him, Nahum Slouch, and on his history of Africa, is letting you know that many Jews had strongholds in West Africa. Many Jews there was an influx of Jews in West Africa. Read on.
The tradition of Jewish traders in Sahara stretches back to biblical times. Slouch continues, and it is not all surprising to encounter in every part of desert traces and even survivals of a primitive Judaism, which at one time played an important role in the whole region of Sahara from Senegal to the very borders of Somalia.
So what's he saying? All throughout Africa, you find traces of Judaism, meaning there's places that we was and we left. Remember at the beginning, they went to West Africa. We're saying even all throughout the Sahara, even by Somalia, you find hints of Judaism, meaning that there's like Jew temples we abandoned them. There's so many remains of like Jews that lived in so many points of Africa. We done.
Between the second and third centuries, the black Jews of Arabia continued migrating across the Red Sea to Ethiopia. The largest exodus of Jews occurred in the persecution by the Arabs led by Muhammad.
There's so now it's saying now that's going into a further timeline when Muhammad he persecuted the Jews because we wouldn't follow Islam. You know what I mean? Skip to the 90th page, page 90.
By what factors can we explain the emergence of black Hebrew humanity and leadership over the indigenous tribes? The answer is simple. The Jews came into the Western Sudan from northern and East Africa as a result of a chain of commercial and persecutory migrations.
There, so now even through history, they even know why Jews came to West Africa. You know, someone say, well, why? History is so accurate with this. They even know why. Some for commercial routes, meaning they done business and trade. They seen their family in West Africa, like, you know what, I'm just gonna stay here. And some because they was persecuted by Ethiopians, persecuted by other families of Africans. Read on.
The Jews had settled among the most civilized people throughout the ages. They adopted new methods from other people and left their material, education, moral imprint among the people who they resided.
There, so imagine that we were so influential, we even left a print wherever we resided, and that's why you know you got so-called Ethiopian Jews. Why? Because we left the print wherever we resided, man. That's why you got the Ashanti tribe talking about the Israelites. Cause we left the print wherever we resided, man. That's why you got the Igbo tribe thinking they're Israelites. Because we left the print wherever we resided.
Right.
Even like now, listen, we are in England and we are a minority. And look at London, man. Everyone wants to be like, who? Israelites? Yeah, cause you don't know where does that come from? Israelites. How they dress, the music they like, their mannerisms, how they act. We are we are people. Everyone sees us and wants to be like us. And even in Africa, wherever we went, we left our print, man. We left our print on so-called Sephardic Jews, so-called Falashan Jews. We left our print with the Igbo tribe. We left our print with the Ashanti tribe. And that's why they think they're us. The same way people think they're us in England, they thought they were us in Africa, man. Read on.
For many centuries, the Hebrews had to employ great physical and psychological initiative. They could not afford to be complacent or apathetic. They were hated, so apathy could mean cultural stagnation or death.
There's now, for those of you that, you know what I mean, that's a lot to read, meaning they couldn't, you know, go around trying to be friends with everyone. As they migrated to West Africa, it was like, listen, it's business. Don't be no one's friend. Let's just do it, do it, do it. Or if they got complacent and became more loving and inviting in everyone, that could be death. So they understood that, listen, like, we gotta stick together. We are all that we have.
Of the Africans on the north and east coast, the black Jews had an advantage over the African tribes. They carried their culture, history, laws, and written records with them. This assured them a consistent precedent for the development of a higher social organization.
So meaning we didn't mix with them. We made sure that, you know, we stayed educated, and that kept us on top of all the Africans. Just like in the Bible, what did it say? If we keep his laws, we're gonna be high above all nations.
Right.
And in West Africa, we knew, listen, like we gotta stick, we gotta keep developing ourselves, we gotta keep, you know what I mean, making sure that we are on top. Read on.
Because of the stability of the black Jewish culture, the Jews were not absorbed into the
Or tenacious.
tenacious population. In fact, the Jews absorbed some of the native tribes.
And that's the problem. That's where we started sinning, man. We started to absorb them. And what happens every time we absorb them? We become like them. And that's what happened. So even in history, you know, when we got to West Africa, at one point we was on top, we was dominating, we was killing it. And then as soon as we started to join with them, we fell, man. Yeah, from there, you know, that goes into some other stuff, but for time's sake, let's get Nature Knows No Color Line page. The thing with the Jews is their gradation. What is grades? Meaning your shades. So you know you have a dark grade, light grade. So he's saying among the Jews they have a gradation from light to dark. What?
Light, like a gradation of all shades down to the black is exhibited by the Jews.
So imagine that this is history. A man that done his research on the Jews, and it's funny because people laugh at us to say Jews ain't black. They're Shemitic. Like Shemitic has a color. You know what I mean? They were Shemites, and what does that mean? Meanwhile, you accept Afghanistan's the Israelites, you accept Romanians the Israelites, but there's valid history from people that seen Jews and got records on Jews and go, the Jews were graded from black to brown, man. Had many different grades. Read on.
Especially dark, when the Jews of Spain and Portugal.
Also, now that's key because in Babylon to Timbuktu, we read about those Jews that lived in Spain and they got kicked out of Spain and went to West Africa. And he's saying those Jews that lived in Spain, they were black, they were dark, and it says it was exhibited by those Jews of Spain. Read on.
The Portuguese Jews were very dark.
What?
Pritchard.
And there's now this is another historian, Pritchard, and he says the Jews of Spain of where sorry Portugal, okay, they were very dark. I mean they were dark skinned, man. They was you know mean dark brown. Read on.
The Dutch and the Abrahams wife of Napoleon ambassador to Portugal said the Jews, the Negro, and the Portuguese could be seen in one single person.
So imagine that the Jew and the Negro, meaning what he's saying is the Jew and the Negro, meaning us, they could be seen in the same light. Why is he saying that? Because the Jew is the Negro, man.
Right.
Because the Jew is the Negro, meaning he's saying like, damn, you seen a Jew, you seen a Negro, man. You seen someone in Jamaica, you seen someone in America, you seen a brother from Grenada, man. You seen a brother in Amsterdam, you seen a brother in London, man. Read on.
Their beliefs are so dark with the Jews of Portugal and southern Spain that many whites thought all Jews were black or dark skinned.
And imagine that, meaning every Jew they saw, they was always dark. So much that in Spain, many white people just assumed all Jews were black and dark skinned. Of course, you know what I mean? Of course, in the Bible it says, my heritage is like a speckled bird. But those Jews they saw, it led them to assume that all Jews had to be black, man. Skip to the 130th page where it gets to where you would find those same Jews today.
Page 130. Settled in the West Indies, John Bigelow, who visited Jamaica in 1850.
So now, make no mistake, this is another historian, John Bigelow. Now, make no mistake, in a paragraph we've gone through 3 historians, man. Matter of fact, 4, even eyewitness accounts. So now this guy, John Bigelow, in 1850, went to the West Indies. Now, why did he go to the West Indies? The context of what we're reading is the Jews, how dark they were, the Jews of Spain and Portugal. Read on.
saw descendants of those Jews.
He saw what?
Descendants of those Jews.
So the Jews that were dark had different gradations. He went to Jamaica in the 1850s to see those Jews. So what's he saying? Make me understand. Someone online, make me understand, man. I'm dumb. Read on.
And says they were Negroid.
Said that the Jews were Negroid, but make me understand. Why are we talking about the Jews of Spain? And then in 1850, this guy went to Jamaica. Make me understand it. What's some say? No connection. Oh, I got you. Okay, no. So. There's always a hate, and I feel sorry for him. Right, let's give you a minute. So, what's the connection to what we are reading? All right, for time's sake, meaning he knew through his history that the people that were enslaved and went to Jamaica where he went, they were descendants of the Jews of Sabine, man. Those same dark-skinned Jews that he was reading about, he found them in Jamaica. He done his research and knew the people that were enslaved in West Africa, they were Israelites. And to find them, he went to Jamaica. To find that batch, he went to Jamaica, man. So talking about the Jews of Spain, he found them in Jamaica. Showing you that he knew that the people that were enslaved in West Africa, they were Israelites. They were the Jews, man. But you can drop that book there. You know what I mean? Let's get Proverbs 14 and 15.
Proverbs 14 and 15. The simple believeth every word.
And that's the problem, man. Someone who is imple, they believe every word, man.
Right.
They believe someone tells you, you're African, man. Look, man, you're black, man. Look at them. And you just believe every word, never questioned it, never wondered, well, why ain't they suffering like us, man? Africans come to England and they're living fine, man. If anything, they got African businesses galore. So if we're all the same, why are we suffering and they not, man? Why is it, they're not getting harassed by the police like Israelites, man? Like the people of the Windrush? You know what I mean? They're not suffering like us, man. And those African gangs, they choose to live that life. You know what I mean? They're not oppressed like us, man. You know what I mean? In the London region, all those Africans that stab each other and shoot guns, they choose to do that. They're not suffering like us. They ain't got the white man's foot on 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 their neck like how we do. They choose to live like that. Why? Because they are inspired by us, man. Out wherever we go, people want to be like us, and they choose to live that life. Read on.
But the prudent man looketh well to his going.
And the prudent man, an educated man, he looketh well to his goings. Can someone just come to him and say, we're African, and just take it on face value? He looks well to his goings, meaning what? He's going to research it. He's going to study it. He's going to find out if it's true or it's not, man. All right, so now let's get into the next book, man. This is another book called Into Egypt with Ships, man. This is written by a brother called Elisha J. Israel. And again, at the back, what do you find? Bibliography, meaning he's got records to get his points from, to get everything from, man. You know what I mean? So let's get page 45. Yeah, page 45 is the last bit, it's the last highlight part.
Page 45. Millions of Israelites fled to Africa. The historian Josephus describes the horrendous siege during the Great Roman Jewish War.
Okay, so now Josephus, he's a Israelite historian. In your own time, you know, you can research him, but what happened was in the Roman Jew War, he was captured, and then you know what I mean, he kind of became a Uncle Tom, kind of, you know what I mean, and he became the historian, telling them about Jew history, you know what I mean, the good, the bad, even the philosophy. So everything in the Josephus, don't believe it. Reason being is, you know, even in the Bible, it tells you that amongst us, we had a lot of philosophies, a lot of fairy tales and stuff like that. That's why sometimes when you find heretic books, some of them were written by Jews that, you know what I mean, they were nothing, you know, spoke fairy tales and that. So you know what I mean. So in the Josephus, it's got the good and the bad. It's got some decent Jew history, but also it's got the traditions and the fairy tales that we also believed in too. So him being a historian, he saw what happened at the time of Jerusalem when the Romans slaughtered us, and he wrote it down in a book called Josephus, which you can buy online, Amazon, W.H. Smith's. It's also sold there as well. Read on.
66 to 70 AD, millions of Jews fled into Africa, among other places, fleeing from Roman persecution, slavery.
Uh-huh.
Many suffered the siege from hunger and starvation during siege.
There, so now we read that in Babylon to Timbuktu, but in this book, in this history book, it just sums it up. It doesn't go into depth. Read on.
The hunger was so intolerable that it obliged them to chew everything, while they gathered such things as the most sordid animals would not touch and endure to eat them.
There's some stuff. So we was hungered that bad. We ate anything, man. You know what I mean? They ate giraffes. They ate their andals. That's a fact. You know what I mean? They even ate the dead kids. They would like literally fry them up. That's how hungry they were. Even in the Josephus, there's one point where a woman, she was frying a baby son, and they could, you know what I mean? Obviously, when you fry something, it leaves an aroma, and like a gang of young men ran in the house to eat her dead son. They could smell it being cooked. Like, nah, listen, I want that. That's how hungry we was from the Romans shutting off our supplies. Read on.
They even ate children for food.
As I said, read on.
Transatlantic slave trade that followed. Millions of Semitic black Jews.
And there you have it. The transatlantic slave trade, millions of Semitic black Jews. It never said Africans. You don't find the Igbo tribe in there. You don't find the Ashantis in there. It says millions of Semitic black Jews. Read on.
Settled in the land of black Hamitic nations.
And we settled in the land of black Hamitic nations, Ghana, Nigeria, Togo, Benin, Mali, Liberia, Sudan. No, not Sudan, Senegal. We settled in black Hamitic lands. Read on.
God, Israelites would have been vulnerable to enslavement during wars and conflicts.
We would have been what?
Vulnerable to enslavement and wars of conflict.
So because we're living in lands that are not ours, we are vulnerable. You know what I mean? Meaning we're the weaker link. Although we try to keep together, though we did so much, we was vulnerable. So anytime there was a war, there was a conflict, we was the weak link, man. When the white man wanted slaves, what does it mean? We are the weak link. We are the easy ones to get, man. The white man, he didn't go into Africa and find us himself. He will pay, the prominent Africans to find us. And us being the weak link, we are vulnerable. They're like, well, let's get them Israelites, man. Africans did not sell their own people. Africans sold the children of Israel, man.
God.
Read on. Oh no, no. If that's it, that's it. Give me Joel 3. And again, this is in the Bible, in Joel 3.
Draw.
Joel 3 and 1.
Joel 3 and 1. Hear this word that the Lord have spoken against you. Sorry, Joel 3 and 1. For behold, in those days and in that time, when I shall bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem.
All right, so now when it says bring again, it don't mean it's going to enslave us another time. I mean, it's going to bring us back. Those who were enslaved, it's going to bring us again, meaning it's going to bring us back home. It's going to bring us back to our understanding, bring us back to who we are. It don't mean bring again like we're going to get enslaved another time. The King James Bible is written in Old English, and you can research it. When it says bring again, it's meaning bringing us back. It's going to bring again the captivity, meaning those who were enslaved of the people of Judah and Jerusalem. Read on.
And I will gather all nations and will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat.
And the valley of Jehoshaphat is in the Middle East. In the Hebrew, it's YAHANNA, meaning the judgment of the Lord. And that's what you see going on now, man. Every country has an army in the Middle East trying to defend their oil, defend their resources, and that's the Lord. They think it's them, just we're defending what's ours, but that's the Lord. Why? Because the Lord wants to bring judgment upon him. In the Apocrypha in 2nd Ezra, you can read about that when it happens. Read on.
And I will plead with them for my people and for my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations.
And God's saying he's going to pay them back for what they've done to us, man. They've parted us among the nations. They've sold us, enslaved us, scattered us. And God's saying, I'm going to bring every nation there so I can kill them, man. For what they've done to you, black man, in Brixton, in Mosside, in Toxter, in Longside, in the Midlands, in London, man. Read on.
God, whom they have scattered among the nations and parted my land. They have cast lots for my people.
And in slavery, that's what they did. They cast lots, man. They will gamble for you. They will bid for you, man. A black man will be in an auction block and what they go, he's strong. I bid for him. I bid higher. They've cast lots for the people of God. Now have in mind, this is talking about the last days. And God's saying, he's going to bring them to Jehoshaphat for what they've done to us. So this is talking about, so when these nations get judged, this is a future event. And he's judging them for what they've done in the past, which was in slavery. Read on.
They have cast lots for my people and have given a boy for an harlot.
And in slavery, research it, they use young black boys as sex slaves, man, for some white perverts. And the Arabs too, man. They cast lots for our people and sold a boy for a harlot, man. Imagine a boy that doesn't know nothing about sex being used as a prostitute, man. And it's researchable. It's information that is accessible. Read on.
And sold a girl for wine and they might drink.
And sold a girl for wine, and research it. Many tribes of Africans, They would find slaves for what? Wine and guns, man. And you're telling me the Bible ain't history. You're telling me the Bible ain't facts. This is facts, man. History says it, and the Bible said it before any history book. Read on.
that they might drink.
Uh-huh.
Yea, and what have you to do with me, O Tyre and Zidon?
So why it's saying Tyre and Zidon? You know, some people like to go, well, you know what I mean? Tyre and Zidon, that was in the land of Palestine. Why? Because reincarnation is real, man. Those Africans that used to live in Tyre and Zidon, they are in West Africa, man. And they sold us, man, those same Hamitic nations. They're reincarnated in West Africa. And they sold us, man. Read on.
And all the coast of Palestine.
All the Philistines, they're in West Africa too, man. The same people we always warred with in our land. When we had our land, we warred with them in West Africa too. Read on.
Will you render me a recompense?
Meaning, are you trying to pay me back? Are you trying to pay me back? You're not saying like, why are you doing this? Like, you're trying to pay me back for something I've done to you. You're trying to take vengeance. Read on.
And if you recompense me, swiftly and speedily will I return your recompense upon your own head.
So Lord's saying, you're trying to pay me back. Guess what? I'll pay you back even faster, man. I'll pay you back even quicker. And how did this happen? Look at West Africa. It's a mud hole, man. Who cares about West Africa? You know what I mean? They find it hard to take a bath. You know what I mean? And God paid them back, man. The same way they sold us. What did the white man do to them? Rob them? Blood diamonds? Where they got African kids working in mines till the whites of their eyes are black, man. God paid them back for what they done to you. Read on.
Because you have taken my silver and my gold, and have carried into your temples my goodly pleasant things.
That's what they did, man. In West Africa, we had riches, and they robbed it, man, and put it in their evil pagan shrines, temple places. You know what I mean? All of the goodly things. Read on.
The children also of Judah and the children of Jerusalem have you sold unto the Grecians.
They did what?
Sold unto the Grecians.
And who are the Grecians? The white men, man. The children of Judah and Jerusalem, they sold to the Grecians. They sold to the English. They sold to the Dutch. They sold to the white American, man. They sold to the French. And this is in the Bible. Read on.
God, that ye might remove them far from their border. Because I will raise them out of the place whither you have sold them.
And listen to what God's saying, man. He's going to raise us up out of the place where we are sold, man. We were sold in Jamaica, and there's I.S.U.P.K in Jamaica raising up people right now, man. We were sold in Trinidad, and the Lord's raising up brothers in Trinidad. The Lord has raised up brothers, and they're raised up teaching us who we are, man. We were sold in America, and the Lord raised us up in America, man. You're telling me the Bible ain't real? You're telling me the Bible's a myth? You're a liar, man. That's all while it boils down to. Read on.
And I will sell your sons and your daughters into the hands of Judah, and they shall sell them to the Sabians.
So now that's going to happen, man. You know what I mean? When we get the kingdom of heaven, what are we getting? Slaves, man. Isaiah 14:1 and many verses in the Bible. All right, let's drop that. So this is another book. Then we're going to get into Babylon Timbuktu one last time. Now, this is an exhausting book. You know what I mean? Babylon Timbuktu, all that's good. This is called Hebrewisms of West Africa, written by Joseph J. Williams. And this appendix, forget about it, man. Appendix is a chapter within itself. You know what I mean? But I'll be back in a quick second. So Okay, yeah. So as I was saying, this book Hebrewisms in West Africa appendix is huge on this one. Meaning this guy went through all of it, man. He's got Spanish manuals, Spanish records, everything, Babylonian ones when we was in Babylon. Yo, this is a very good book, but you know what I mean? This is more of an exhaustive book where, you know what I mean, you gotta really dedicate time. Babylon's Timbuktu and them books, the more, you know what I mean, just more direct, more straight to the point. So in this book, one second, page 292. But yeah, page 292 and 93. Yeah, that's it. So now this is another historian called John Ogilvy. So now you know again now, you know what I mean? There's many historians you can look up and they researched it and found out what the Bible's been saying all along, man. That you know we are the real Israelites and the people that were in the transatlantic slave trade, they are the real Jews, man.
Card, page 292. John Ogilvy, master of his majesty's rebels in the United Kingdom of Ireland.
So now make no mistake now, this is a white Irishman. You know what I mean? So he was given permission to do his research on West Africa and to find Jews. And you know what I mean? He was given this by, he was a Irish historian, but also he was funded by England. Read on.
Published in 1679, a volume of Africa, wherein he speaks of the coast of Guinea as follows.
So now, you know what I mean? You can look on a West African map. Ini is a part of West Africa. It's a small country. So this book was written when 1692.
No, 1679.
1679. So this is history right here, man. 1679, a book that's over 400 years old, man. Read on.
Many Jews also are scattered over this region.
So what did he say?
Many Jews are also scattered over this region.
So why is it every historian says the same thing, man? West Africa, many Jews were scattered all over this region, man. Now have in mind, slavery was even happening here. He wrote this in 1672. Slavery happened in when? 1618. So even still, of course, every slave wasn't rounded up in 1618. Slaves were still being found. Israelites were still being looked for. So even then, in his time, he said West Africa still had many Jews. Read on.
Some natives boasted themselves of Abraham's seed.
They did what?
Boasted themselves of Abraham's seed.
So Jews were in West Africa saying they were Abraham's seed. They knew who they were, man. Saying, you know, I'm going to see the Abraham. They were, you know what I mean? They was flaunting it, man. They was proud of who they were. They didn't say they were Africans. They didn't say they were from the sons of Ham. They were boasting themselves, saying they were Abraham's seed. Read on.
Inhabiting both sides of the river Niger.
The both sides of the river Niger. And that's where Nigeria is also, man. It's on the left-hand side of the river Niger. So we were all over there, man. And these are the people that were rounded up and enslaved, man. And they knew who they were. They were boasting themselves to be Abraham's seed. Read on.
Others are Asian strangers who fled thither, even from the desolation of Jerusalem by invasion.
And there, imagine that. So he's saying some lived there before, and others went there when the Romans destroyed Jerusalem. Why is it historians are always saying the same thing, man? West Africa always had Jews. You mean some lived there already, and some migrated there once Jerusalem was destroyed. How many books have you read so far? About 4. And they're all saying the same thing, that the people that were enslaved and sold into the West Indies, sold to America, they are Israelites, man. These are the real Jews. Don't let no liar talk about you need to take some blood test to find out if you're a Jew. Um, the so-called white Jewish man, he takes some blood test to prove he's a Jew. From what? You mean you can't get no blood from some dead remains? So how does a blood test prove you're an Israelite? It doesn't, man. The Bible proves who the Israelites are. History proves who the Israelites are,
Right.
and it's you, black man. And that's why they need to make up lies and nonsense about this Kohenic blood garbage and all that, because they are not the Jews, man. Read on.
Or from Judea, wasted and depopulated by the Romans, Persians, Saracens, and Christians.
There, so meaning even before Rome destroyed Jerusalem, and you can read about it in the Bible too. When the Babylonians came, many Jews fled to Egypt, and he's saying that some of these even descend from them. And how does he know? By their traditions. So some that left in time of Rome, they believed in Christ. Some that didn't, they did not believe in Christ, and they had a very old tradition, a old traditional way about them. So by how they lived, they knew, well, okay, these ones must have left at an earlier date. These ones left at this time. You know what I mean? So by how they lived and things that they did, because some did not do animal sacrifice. Why? Because we knew with Christ, He was our sacrifice. You'll see some Jews that would do sacrifice, and you would know, okay, these left Jerusalem at an earlier date. So you know what I mean? He obviously saw them and how they lived and knew, well, okay, these left in time of Rome, these left in time of Babylon, etc. Read on.
Or else such as came out of Europe,
And came out where?
Europe,
And who were those ones? The ones that left Sabine, man. And we read in nature those no other lines. Those Jews were black, man. Read on.
whence they were banished, according to the map of Africa, included by Ogilvy in his volume Lake Chad, is marked as Bono Lake, and Niger is supposed to flow through it. On this map, the Niger rises in the lake called Lake Niger,
Uh-huh.
situated a few degrees north of the equator and some 10 degrees east of the longitude of Lake Chad.
So now, what's the point of reading all this? Meaning, they even have maps and routes where these people, you know what I mean, how they migrated there, saying that they went by the streams that were there, which makes common sense. If you're, you know what I mean, on a long journey, you need a water supply. Saying that it's clear that they stuck by them routes so that they can also have something to like drink, which makes sense. You know what I mean? It's not like now we got all these nice cars where you know what I mean. You had to do it by foot or by a camel, and you need water. So your route would be by the rivers, a stream, somewhere where you will always have somewhere to wash and drink at the same time. Reader.
It flows almost due north until approaching Lake Borno, when it almost due west and reaches Lake Guado, which by its location must be in reality Lake Fagabin.
All right. No, so it's just telling you like you know what I mean the migration. So which routes they took. Some took different lakes. Some was in Nigeria. Some was in Ghana. Some was in Benin. We're saying that listen, like from one main lake, so many of them took their separate routes. Read on.
Thence it continues westward, only to break into a number of small outlets to the sea, as the Gambia, Rio Grande, etc.
There. So even now they know that how they got to these regions was from the lakes that take many routes onto the main sea. And if you look at West Africa, there's many lakes, and that's where we went to obviously have water, drink, supplies. And this historian, this guy, what's his name? Iglin, something like that. You know what I mean? He found this out in the 1600s, man. And in 2019, you got people, we're African, we're not Israelites, man. We're playing games. Listen, we are Israelites, man. And there's history. many loads of history that confirms this. Read on.
This last stretch is evidently confused with the Senegal, the middle reaches most likely the Niger proper, and the early stage of the watershed of the Congo, or possibly the Shari or the Langsong River. All this should be kept in mind in identifying the location of the Jews.
There's to say that if you want to find the Jews, you got to keep that location in mind. And what's the location? West Africa. All those rivers, they go down to West Africa, to the lower parts of what on the map is called the Gold Coast. So even he's saying, listen, man, like, you know, if you want to find the Jews, you definitely gotta follow those locations, man. You gotta follow those streams, and you will find the Israelites. Read on any more on that.
Later, Gilby paraphrases the citation we have already taken from Leo Africanus, in which he adds nothing material except the place of African in question inland from the Guinea coast and distinct from those near the sea.
There's so saying that the point that is trying to make is, you know, mean that in West Africa there's more inland. Mean like if you look on the map, you look at the north part of West Africa, like Morocco, Mauritania, it's like a desert land. He's saying, you mean that it makes sense that more people would live inland, and that's where we was, man, in Ghana, Nigeria. Those places are inland by the sea. That's the point that he's trying to make. You know what I mean? Give me Romans 11:1.
Romans 11:1. I say then, have God cast away his people? God forbid.
And then, man, God has not cast us away. Yes, we was enslaved. Yes, we, you know, suffering now, but we are not cast away, black man. Don't let no one tell you being a Jew don't matter. But you know what I mean? Historians got the proof. And why don't they let you know? Because they want you to believe that, you know, being a Jew don't matter. Being a Jew is of no relevance. And it is relevant, man. If people were paid by the English government to find Jews, this Irishman was paid, man. He was paid in 1672 to go to West Africa and find out where were these Israelites, man? Where were these people that left from their homeland when the Romans came, and he found them? And God ain't cast you away. It does matter, or they wouldn't pay this historian. You know what I mean? They would just go, well, it don't matter. They're in Africa somewhere, who cares? But it did matter. That's why they paid this Irish devil, man. Read on.
God forbid, for I also am an Israelite.
And that's key, man. People that read the Bible and say being an Israelite doesn't matter. But you love Paul. Everyone loves Galatians. Everyone loves Romans. Everyone loves Ephesians. And the same books that you love, an Israelite wrote them, man. Them same verses in Ephesians and Acts and Galatians you love, an Israelite wrote it, and he said being an Israelite does matter.
Right.
Read on.
Of the seed of Abraham, of the tribe of Benjamin.
Of the tribe of Benjamin. Paul saying, listen, I'm an Israelite. So you can't say these people are cast away and they don't matter. When, you know what I mean? I'm an Israelite. These same books that you're reading, you know what I mean? I'm an Israelite and I read these books, man. If they give me Romans 9:3.
Romans 9:3. For I could wish myself were accursed from Christ for my brethren, my kinsmen, according to the flesh.
So now make no mistake, Paul is talking about Israelites according to the flesh, man. Ain't talking about no believers and, you know what I mean? You can be a white man or an Arab, and if you share the same beliefs as me, you're an Israelite. Paul saying, nah, for my kinsmen according to the flesh, meaning your relatives. Read on.
Who are Israelites?
Who are the what?
Who are Israelites?
So his kinsmen according to the flesh are Israelites, man. Not believers, not people that share Judaism. His brethren are Israelites, man. People that are blood-born of his kinsmen. Read on.
To whom pertains their adoption?
And what's the adoption? Christ coming and dying to give us a second chance, man. That's the adoption. Read on.
And the glory.
And the glory. What's the glory? The kingdom of heaven, man.
Right.
The day when the black man rules over every nation, like what we read in the book of Joel, about we're gonna have their sons. Read on.
And the giving of the law.
Mm-hmm.
And the service of God.
And the giving of the law and the service of God, man. What nation of people got the laws? Israelites. What nation of people heard the voice of God and lived? Israelites. What nation of people did God part the Red Sea for? Israelites. And the services, only an Israelite can be a priest of the Lord. Only an Israelite can be at their holding camp. Only an Israelite can, offer a sacrifice to the Lord. Read on.
And the promises.
And the promises, man. What promises? The promises of Abraham. The promises that he will own all the corn, own every high hill. That's the promises that the Israelites have, man, according to the flesh. Read on.
Whose are the fathers,
Mm-hmm.
and of whom concerning the flesh Christ came.
Meaning Christ only came for Israelites concerning the flesh, man. Not no believers. Give me Isaiah 46 and 3.
Isaiah 46 and 3. Hearken unto me, O house of Israel. So again, hearken unto me, O house of Jacob,
Uh-huh.
and all the remnant of the house of Israel.
So listen to what God said, man. Hearken unto me, meaning listen unto me. Read.
Which are born by me from the belly.
Which are what?
Born by me from the belly.
And to be a real Israelite, you're one from the belly, man. You was in your mom's belly. You was an Israelite, not because of Judaism, not because you know what I mean. You learned Hebrew. You was a Jew even when you was in the church, man. You was a Jew even when you was in the mosque lost, man. Why? Because you're a Jew born from the belly. And even historians knew they found Jews in West Africa not by religion, not by Judaism. They found you because they were Jews born by the belly, man.
Right.
You know what I mean? Hand me to Babylon to Timbuktu. Just one last bit. All right. Yeah, page 132, just from here to 133.
Page 132. In 1930, the district in the 900 miles southeast of Timbuktu.
Oh, Slacky, I mean the lower part on 132, the other highlight part section,
Dr. Alan H. Godby.
So now, make no mistake now, this is a historian called Dr. Alan H. Godby. If you notice, into that book, Into Egypt with Ships, he referenced him, and he's got a book called The Black Israelites, and that book is £100. You know what I mean? If you buy it, good on you. But that book, because people want it, because it proves that we are the Israelites, that book has skyrocketed in its value, man. They don't even print the book no more. All what you get is references of the book from people that have it. But to get one now, it's really hard. If anyone has it, please, you know what I mean? I'll buy it off you for a good price. I mean, we'll talk about that on the phone, of course. But you know what I mean? That's a very valuable book. And you know what I mean? It's very rare. They don't even print the book no more. Read on.
Postulates the position that black Jews were on the West African coast from Senegal to Angola.
Uh-huh.
And the Jews, were driven to this area.
And if you notice, every book said the same thing. Because of the Romans and the persecution, they went to West Africa. All historians come to the same conclusion. You know what I mean? So it's clear that, all right, maybe if historians they had like a variance between them, then it would be suspect. But all historians say the same thing. They went to West Africa. All the Jews went to West Africa. The people that were enslaved were the Jews in West Africa. They're all saying the same thing. Read
driven to this area from the central Sudan by Muslim propagandism.
So now, the reason why they went deeper into West Africa, because once the Arabs came with the whole Islam, they went deeper because why? The Jews that did live in upper north West Africa, they were forced to, if you don't follow Islam, you will die. And many of them, they were sold in the Arabian world. So that's why many of us went deeper into West Africa. Read on.
Having a knowledge of black Jews, in the United States, Dr. Godwin arrived to this conclusion.
Mm-hmm.
These facts have a peculiar significance when the presence of Judaism among African Negroes is to be considered.
There, so now he's saying that if you go to West Africa, you find a lot of strains of Judaism. I'll give you an example. In the Bible, homosexuals they're meant to be what? Put to death. And even to this day, in many West African countries, they stone homosexuals. They burn homosexuals. If you go to Ghana right now, they're homosexuals, but if one is caught, he's killed. You know what I mean? They get an bike tire, wrap it around him, so it's like this: stone him, burn him. Why? Because that's the imprint of Judaism, man. When we was there, we was influencing them. Read on.
Hundreds of thousands of slaves were brought to America from the Western Africa during the days of traffic. Being nearly 400 years ago, how much more Judaism survives among West African Negroes?
Yeah, so he's saying how much Judaism survives among them, and of course, now that we're over here, you don't find it, man. You mean now they're going back to following Christianity and West Africa. A lot of them are Catholics, and they follow Catholicism strong, along with many other white man's religions. But he's saying amongst us, how much Judaism would you find? Read on.
God, as persecuted communities, they were rather more in danger than other Negroes of being invaded by war parties and sold as slaves.
There, so in another book we read, it's saying the same thing. We was vulnerable, man. You know what I mean? We was more easier to be captured and to be rounded up. Read on.
It may be considered certain that many partially Judaized Negroes were among the slaves brought to America.
There, so at one point he thinks that there was a mixture, but as we read on, he's going to explain it.
How many of them still hold some Jewish customs? Here is another question. Before Dr. Godwin published this book, The Lost Tribes, a Myth, Rabbi Matthew organized a Hebrew congregation.
So make no mistake now, this is a white Jewish man. His name is called Rabbi Matthews, and we're going to find out what he knew. Read on.
In 1918, and proclaimed that the black people of the United States and the West Indies were the original black Hebrews.
And there, so in 1918, he held a meeting and said the blacks of the Americas and the West Indies are the real biblical Hebrews, man. What does that mean? You are the people of Isaiah. So meaning in the Bible that you read, you are them people. In the same Bible everyone reads, that's you, man. You are Isaiah, you are Ezekiel, you are Haggai, you are King Solomon, you are King David. And that's what this white Jewish man knew, that the black people of the West Indies and America, from West Africa, you were the real biblical Hebrews, man. Any more on that? No. All right, no sweat. Let's get the last scripture. Let's get Amos 3:1.
Amos 3:1. Hear this word that the Lord has spoken against you, O children of Israel.
And that's key, man. The Lord only spoke against Israelites, man. And this Bible is all about Israelites. Deuteronomy 28:68, all about Israelites, man. You mean no Africans were on them ships, man? Why? Because the Lord spake this word only to the children of Israel. Read on.
Against the whole family which I brought up out of the land of Egypt, saying, you only have I known of all the families of the earth.
And listen to what God said, man. You only have I known, meaning you black man, you Hispanic man, You native Indian man, you only have I known, man. Read on.
Therefore, I will punish you for all your iniquities.
And God punished us, man. Deuteronomy 28:68. We was being punished for our iniquities, man. That curse only fits us. Why? Because God only punishes Israelites, man. And with that, I'm gonna hand it over to Priest and Officer 5000 Karafia.
I'm going to rub my hands after that. With the I.S.U.P.K started at 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under commanding General YAHANNA. Rule for a new brother and sister. When a new brother or sister comes to the school, they are off limits to 6 months. They are to be saluted only. They are here to share themselves off the world. If they need transportation, a teacher will arrange it. After 6 months, if a brother or sister has an interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to a brother or sister. There is another 6 months which the brother and sister will court each other. After this 6-month period, the brother and sister will get permission from the head to marry. Tithes, which is a commandment, Numbers 18:21, Malachi 3:8-10. We intend to be Hebrew Aisha. 10% of every penny of any increase the Lord gives you. Give to the treasury department or the teacher. Priest one, not mandatory whatsoever about your life. Upcoming holy convocations is the Feast of Trumpets,
It's on September the 28th.
September 28th. Or I capture the bulletin board in the hallway. Anyone wants to be a trooper in the school, start wearing all black boots, shirt, pants, headband, and that stuff. And we die. Imagine. Right, space to east. The Lord's Prayer. Abanawa.
Abanawa.
Shabbat Shemayah.
Shabbat Shemayah.
Kadash.
Kadash.
Hayah.
Hayah.
Shemka.
Shemka.
Yahweh.
Yahweh.
Malakaka.
Malakaka.
Taba'ah.
Taba'ah.
Ratazaka.
Ratazaka.
Hayah.
Hayah.
Aisha.
Aisha.
Warataza.
Barataza.
Kawa.
Kawa.
Hayah.
Hayah.
Washemayah.
Bashemayah.
Lefandinawa.
Lefandinawa.
Lakam.
Lakam.
Cow.
Cow.
Yawam.
Yawam.
Wasalaknawa.
Wasalaknawa.
Kabawaknawa.
Kabawafnawa.
Kasalaknawa.
Kasalaknawa.
Kabawaknawa.
Kabawafinawa.
Wala'ah.
Wala'ah.
Tabi'aynawa.
Tabaya'aynawa.
Wanasayawan.
Wanasayawan.
Abab.
Abod.
Abashaynawa.
Habashaynawa.
Mayan.
Mayan.
Right.
Right.
Kaya.
Hayah.
Lakam.
Lakah.
Hamalakwa.
Hamalakwa.
Waha'ala.
Waha'ala.
Waha'para.
Wahapara.
Wa'awalumyum.
Iwalumyum.
Amen.
And in the English, our Father,
Our Father,
who art in heaven,
which art in heaven,
hallowed be thy name.
hallowed be thy
Thy
name.
kingdom come.
Thy kingdom
Thy
come.
will be done
Thy will be done
in earth
in earth
as it is in heaven.
as it is in heaven.
Give us this day
Give us today
our daily bread,
our daily bread,
and forgive us our debts
and forgive us our
as
debts
we forgive our debtors,
as we forgive our debtors,
and lead us not
and lead us not
into temptation,
into temptation,
but deliver us from evil.
but deliver us from
For
evil.
thine is the kingdom
For thine is the kingdom
and the power
and the power
and the
and
glory
the glory
forever.
forever.
So be it.
So be it. And we're going to pray for the power, the Hakam, Yahweh,
Yahweh.
Hashem Yahushai,
Hashem Yahushai.
Baruch Shah,
Baruch Shah.
the Fananawa,
Dolanawa.
Hakam,
Hakam.
Hakam,
Hakam.
Larapa'ah,
Larapa'ah.
Kal Makala,
Kal Makala.
Bukal Madwa,
Kal Madawa.
Hakam,
Hakam.
Latahar,
Latahar.
Hamad Tazarayah,
Hamad Tazarayah.
Hakam,
Hakam.
Lahakuyah,
Lahakuyah.
Hamafia,
Hamafia.
Hakam,
Hakam.
Arakawa,
Arukawaf.
Tama Allah,
Tama Allah.
the Garashan,
Darshan.
Hashem Yahushai,
Hashem Yahushai.
the Wada
Aman.
Aman,
Aman. And in the English, Yahweh.
Yahweh,
In the name of Yahushai.
in the name of Yahushai.
Please give us the power
Please give us the
to heal
power to heal
all manner of sickness
all manner of sickness
and all manner of disease,
and all manner of disease,
the power to cleanse the lepers,
the power to cleanse the
the
leper,
power to raise the dead,
the power to raise the dead,
the power against unclean spirits,
the power against unclean
to
spirits,
cast them out.
to cast them out.
In the name of Yahushua,
In the name of Yahushai,
thank you, so be it.
so be it. And the blessings, Barakatah Yahweh,
Barakatah Yahweh,
Wa Yahushai,
Wa Yahushua,
Wa Mayaka Allah,
Wa Mayaka Allah,
Wa Alahayim,
Wa Alahayim,
the Tazab Ya'ah,
Ta Zabiyah,
Allah Wap Yahana,
Allah Wakihana,
Ha Allah Wapyam,
Ta Allah Wapiyah,
Ha Saranyam,
Ta Saranyam,
Ha Potazayanyam,
Ha Patazayanyam,
Ha Kaliyayam,
Ha Kanya Aliyam,
Wa Akwafyam,
Wa Akwafiyam,
Yahweh,
Yahweh,
Wa Hashem Yahushai,
Wa Shemi Habushai,
Wa Aman.
Wada Aman, and in the English, bless you Yahweh,
Bless you, Yahweh,
and Yahushai,
and Yahushai,
and Michael,
and Michael,
and the angels,
and the angels,
commanding General Yahanna,
commanding General Yahanna,
the generals,
the general,
the captains,
the captain,
the officers,
the officers,
the upers,
the troopers,
and the sisters,
and the sisters,
Yahweh,
Yahweh,
in the name of Yahushai,
in the name of Yahushai,
thank you,
thank you,
so be it.
so be it.
Curses, blessed are you Yahweh,
Blessed are you, Yahweh,
King of heaven and earth,
King of heaven and
and
earth,
all things living,
and all things living,
Yahweh,
Yahweh,
in the name of Yahushai,
in the name of Yahushai,
listen to us now,
listen to us now,
right now,
right now,
send evils
and evil,
and curses
and curses,
and punishments
and punishment,
and destruction
and destruction
to the heathen
to the heathen
that speak against
that
us
speak against us
thy prophets, the teachers, the princes, the priests, the Israelite brothers, and the school, sent evils and curses and punishments and destruction to the heathen, and shake loose the treasures of the rich of Israel, that refuse to give to the schools, force their riches to enter into thy sanctuary, send evils and curses and punishments and destruction to the Edomites and the nations and their drug dealers, the court system, the prison system, Planned Parenthood, or the governments of our enemies, Amalek synagogues and armies, Roman Catholic Church, the Pope, Islam, Christianity, Egyptology, the militia, Ku Klux Klan, Aryan Asian, skinheads, Pasikomatazzi, the gay movement, the lesbian movement, spies, workers of witchcraft, NASA space programs, Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, Wall Street, open up the internet, and the airwaves, the cable access channels, and the radio channels, convict the spirit of any of thy people that seek to stop us and bring swift destruction to all the heathen that stand in the way, or try to stop us from broadcasting your words throughout the planet Earth. Let loose all the plagues, cause them to go to and fro through the earth and consume them. Let the plagues shake the house of the thief and the murderer. Let Yahweh shine. Michael and Gabriel come down with the flying horses and punish all the heathens that come up against us as we speak thy word. Cause it to be known by all that it is the angels that have done it. Cause it to be spread through the media, throughout the whole world. Cause them to shake at thy coming. In the name of Yahweh Shai. Thank you always. So be it.
The blessed Israel. Yahweh. Ba'Hashem Yahweh Shai. Barakanawa. Wayasha'ala. Wahabaya. Sapaya. Barakapah. Magan Hagan. The Gordon family, the Bennett family, the George family, and the Officer Magawar. Dino. Ba'Hashem Yahweh Shai. Wada Aman. What is the Lord, in the name of Jesus, bless us and Israel and the school, bless your shield, protect our loved ones, in the name of Jesus, thank you. So be it. I've been down and I give one question to the teacher, men of Israel, I want to back, I imagine, Barak, Yahweh Ba'Hashem Yahweh Shai Barakatah.
Yahweh Ba'Hashem Yahweh Shai Barakatah.
Yajamata. And class dismissed.